The Senate Intelligence Committee hopes to have a better understanding of Jared Kushner's ties to Russia during the 2016 presidential campaign and specifically the White House transition team.
In an 11-page statement, the White House senior advisor is claiming he did nothing wrong in 4 meetings he had with Russians. Kushner will testify today in a closed-door interview.
For more on this, we're joined by Washington Post political investigations reporter Rosalind Helderman. Rosalind, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So what's your big takeaway from that 11-page public statement that was released earlier this morning?
I think this is an attempt at sort of radical transparency where Mr. Kushner lays everything on the table that he says he knows. It's something that people have been calling for the Trump team to do for some time. And it may work for him, provided it is indeed everything he knows. The risk, legal risk, the political risk of doing what he's doing today is what if something else comes out? And if something else comes out that is not represented in that 11-page statement, I think it will be very damaging for him.
Rosalind, should we expect any big revelations to come from his testimony on Capitol Hill this week?
You know, it's hard to say. He's going to be testifying behind closed doors with staff for the committee. What they did this morning is quite smart because we get to hear kind of his side, the direct examination, if you will, the part where he gets to say what he wants to say in the order he wants to say it. But we are not necessarily going to hear, I don't anticipate we will hear, the part where they ask him questions and hear how he answers those things, hear if they've gathered any information that has not been out publicly yet that they ask him about. So we get to hear his side. But nothing else.
Rosalind, you know that also Donald Trump Jr. and former Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort are also set to speak with senators this week. Is the expectation that their defense is going to be, I'm a neophyte, didn't know what I was doing, didn't understand what was going on, never been in politics before, sorry, and can you expect that at least the Senate to say, look, it doesn't matter if you have no idea about how politics in Washington, D.C. works. You know that Russia is an adversary of the United States. And if a foreign power is offering damaging information about your political opponent in this country, your first step should be to say, no, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some portion of that defense, the sort of naivete defense, in the Jared Kushner statement this morning. He also suggested that he was not aware of the fact that they were being offered damaging information. He said he did not read that email chain that came out recently that made that clear in black and white. And that he came to the meeting with the Russian lawyer late, and so he doesn't quite spell it out, but I imagine the point there is he didn't hear her discussing this supposedly damaging information. I do think we'll hear something similar about being naive and new to politics from Don Jr. That's not an explanation that's quite going to work for Paul Manafort, so we're going to have to wait and see what he says. He, of course, is a longtime campaign veteran and has been involved with politics in this country since the 70s and also has been very active in politics in Ukraine, so knows a great deal about Russia and the dynamics with Russia.
So, Rosalind, I guess, again, the question, and from Mr. Kushner's statement, we expect that he is going to say what he said in that statement, which is that he didn't really follow that email chain where Don Jr. receives the information, which essentially says the Russian government has information that will help your father's campaign against Hillary Clinton. He's saying didn't know that that was what it was all about.
Well, he doesn't outright say he didn't know that's what it was about, but he did say that he didn't read the whole email chain. He sort of describes how he received one email from Don Jr. asking him to come to a 3 p.m. meeting, and then a second email pushing it to 4, and it's that second email that has this chain attached to it that the public, of course, has seen, where they talk about the Russian government effort to help Trump, and he says he didn't read that and didn't focus on it.
All right, Rosalind Helderman of the Washington Post. Thank you so much for joining us, Rosalind.
Thanks for having me.